Good morning. Let's try that one more time. Good morning. I'm Amanda Hayes, and I serve as your Justice Coordinator. My pronouns are she, her. And welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbus this morning. On Memorial Day weekend, we remember those who have died to protect our freedom. And we also, as we meet in this space, acknowledge this land as the contemporary territory of the Adena, Hopewell, Miami, Shawnee, Wyandot, and other indigenous nations forcibly displaced in the 1830s. We respect and honor the culture, heritage, and resilience of indigenous nations with ancestral ties to this land, and recognize the indigenous individuals who continue to call Central Ohio home. And now, please rise in body or spirit and sing with us, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, which is number 1008 in the teal hymnal, if you're looking for it there, or it's also up on the screen. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. Then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place.
Good morning. Oh, is my mic? Am I on? Oh, okay, I'm on. Okay, good. I'm Cindy Wicker. I am happy to serve this congregation as a member of your Board of Trustees. My pronouns are she, her. Welcome to First UU, whether you are in person or online. Hey, online. We are so glad you are here. First-time visitors are invited to stop by the greeter stand out in the gallery to pick up your visitor gift. Please scan the QR code now to submit your joys and sorrows. Let us know you are here and access our donation page and digital order of service. You can also submit pen and paper joys and sorrows at the candle table. They're in the back corner over there. Joys and sorrows received by the end of Time for All Ages story will be shared as part of our caring meditation later today. As our church moves into summer mode, we want to remind everyone that our service time will shift to 10 a.m. starting June 11th, which is also the day of our annual meeting. The OPA vote for the annual meeting will go out via email within the next day or so. First UU will be marching in the Columbus Pride Parade and tabling at the festival on June 16th, and we hope that you will join us. Today was the last time we will have hot breakfast until the fall. Sad face. So let's give all the volunteer cooks a round of applause. Let's also give a heartfelt welcome to some special guests here with us today. On Zoom, we have our regional staff person, Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolfe. And in person, we have our Hope for Us team member, Reverend Dr. Samantha Wilson. Now, for those of you who don't know Hope for Us has been this amazing UUA program that First UU of Columbus was lucky enough to be, I don't know, I'm going to say a pioneer church. We were the original, and so they have helped us out so much over this last year, and we are forever grateful for Reverend Dr. Samantha Wilson, Reverend David, Reverend Jamie, everybody there at Hope for Us. So we are excited to have them here. And finally, our newly hired developmental minister, Reverend Dr. Teresa Cooley, is also here with us in person this morning. We hope that everyone will join the congressional engagement session that the First UU Board of Trustees and Hope for Us team will be presenting at 12:45 later today. You can attend in person or on Zoom, and the recording will be available soon after. Light snacks and refreshments will be served between the service and the meeting, so we hope to see you there. Each week, we welcome people of all ages to worship together, including families with young children and infants who bless us with the sounds of new life. We would now like to invite any children who want to help bring in the light to meet Amber out in the gallery. She's out there waving her hands. Hey, Amber. So please find Amber and go help us bring in the light. Thank you.
It is now time for our children to bring in the light. Our chalice lighting words come from All About Love by Bell Hooks. Rarely, if ever, are any of us healed in isolation. Healing is an act of communion.
Thank you, Sebastian, for your help lighting our chalice this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration, and my pronouns are she, they. There are no children's classes today due to the holiday weekend, but toddler care is available in room 101. Families are invited to pick up a busy bag in the gallery, visit the We Worship area, or check out Sloter Lounge if you need more room to move. Families who may need a break from the service or the meeting later today are invited to utilize the board games and craft activities in A and B, or to visit the SYC playground or the Red Oak Forest play area. Today's story is called The Rabbit Listened, written and illustrated by Corey Duerfeld. One day, Taylor decided to build something new. Something special, something amazing. Taylor was so proud. But then, out of nowhere, things came crashing down. The chicken was the first to notice. Cluck, cluck, what a shame. I'm so sorry this happened. Let's talk about it. Cluck, cluck. But Taylor didn't feel like talking, so the chicken left. Next came the bear. Rawr, rawr, how horrible. I bet you feel so angry. Let's shout about it. Rawr, rawr, rawr. But Taylor didn't feel like shouting, so the bear left. The elephant knew just what to do. Brr, brr, brr. I can fix this, but we need to remember exactly the way things were. But Taylor didn't feel like remembering, so the elephant left. One by one they came. The hyena, let's laugh about it. The ostrich, let's hide and pretend nothing happened. The kangaroo, what a mess. Let's throw it all away. And the snake, shh, let's go knock down someone else's. But Taylor didn't feel like doing anything with anybody. So eventually they all left until Taylor was alone. In the quiet, Taylor didn't even notice the rabbit, but it moved closer and closer until Taylor could feel its warm body. Together, they sat in silence until Taylor said, "Please stay with me." The rabbit listened. The rabbit listened as Taylor talked. The rabbit listened as Taylor shouted. The rabbit listened as Taylor remembered and laughed. The rabbit listened to Taylor's plans to hide, to throw everything away, and to ruin things for someone else. And through it all, the rabbit never left. And when the time was right, the rabbit listened to Taylor's plan to build again. "I can't wait," Taylor said. It's going to be amazing. The end. When something sad happens, Taylor doesn't know where to turn. One by one, the animals each try to tell Taylor what to do, and one by one, they fail to offer comfort. Then the rabbit arrives, and all the rabbit does is listen, which is just what Taylor needs. In pastoral care and many other parts of our lives, compassionate listening is the first step towards repair. I now invite you to form a sheltering arc of love as we sing our young people back to their families.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Kelly McNeil. My pronouns are she, her, and it is my honor to serve as your Minister of Congregational Life. Our centering words are Shoulders by Naomi Shihab Nye. Our congregation has a special connection with this poem as our Chalice Choir co-commissioned a setting of this poem by Minnesota UU composer Catherine Dalton. Dalton consulted with Shihab Nye about the setting as she wrote it, and we premiered it last spring at Music Sunday 2022. A man crosses the street in rain, stepping gently, looking 2 times north and south because his son is asleep on his shoulder. No car must splash him. No car drive too near to his shadow. This man carries the world's most sensitive cargo, but he's not marked. Nowhere does his jacket say fragile, handle with care. His ear fills up with breathing. He hears the hum of a boy's dream deep inside him. We're not going to be able to live in this world if we are not willing to do what he's doing with one another. The road will only be wide. The rain will never stop falling. As we let these words sink in, we will listen to our special music played by our member Willow Otten, now a master's student at the New England Conservatory of Music. If you want to hear more, you can come to Willow's recital on June 4th.
Good morning. I am Reverend Dr. Sam Wilson. I'm so grateful to be here with you in person on behalf of the UUA Hope for Us Conflict Coaching Engagement Team. It's been such a blessing to be with your staff and your board this year. Now, prior to becoming a minister, I was part of restorative justice circles for people experiencing incarceration. It was an innovative pilot program focused on the harms that are hardest to talk about, especially inside of a prison wall. It was co-led by incarcerated leaders, and we were designing a space that was our attempt to talk about the hardest things openly so that people and communities could change the patterns that led to the harm they experienced and the harm they caused in their lives, whether or not they were ever released from incarceration. Now, the group of 20 participants committed to 2 years of circle with each other at a time, and graduates moved to another 2 years of circle, and those graduates moved to another 2 years of circle, yes. And mentors mentored others, but that's the sort of commitment that healing takes. Now, there was a predictable pattern each month. If someone 1 month stretched to begin practicing accountability for harm they caused, they would inevitably need time next month to do healing work on the harm that they had experienced. Then, if someone spent a session receiving real, loving witness for the harm that they experienced in their own lives, they would have the emotional and spiritual fortitude to be accountable for harm they caused the next month. It was a two-step: healing, then accountability, accountability, and then healing. You couldn't have one without the other. Now, in a punitive culture, we expect accountability to be perfect and public, and we expect all the healing to happen privately. But in a restorative culture, both are messy and both can happen publicly. As Bell Hooks said, rarely, if ever, is healing done in isolation. Healing is an act of communion. But even more so, in congregations such as yours and in a denomination such as ours seeking a restorative culture where we engage and transform conflict, healing and accountability are actually one word. You just have to put a hyphen between the two of them. Healing is an act of accountability to your own story, your own wounds. And when you take time to heal, you risk asking others to see that healing, and you are accountable to your own self, your own story, and your own ancestors. Now, accountability is an act of healing to the larger web of relationships, to the larger wounds and impacts that we all are part of causing. And when we take time to be accountable, we risk asking others to see the healing work we've done, and we offer ourselves up as healing partners to the world. Healing is accountability, and accountability is healing. And here in congregational life, the same principles apply. First of all, the principle of dedicated practice and time. If you were to imagine how long this congregation had patterns of conflict or harm with ministers or lay leaders, how many years would that be in the making? More likely, it is decades. And if you gave yourselves even 5 years to undo that pattern in the way of restorative practice, the way our incarcerated leaders show us to, all together and dedicated, what could be possible? Second, the principle of healing accountability is that it's not healing or accountability. More often than not, especially in community where we're not sitting in circles for 6 years at a time, there are harms that pile up on one another. There are bruises that have been bumped up again. There are impacts we've withheld. There are ancestors whose stories and secrets were not told. And they pile up like a funeral pyre in the middle of the room. And seemingly, suddenly, it is set on fire. The blaze is hot, too hot to handle. Some of us must leave to get air, to survive, to conserve the little energy we have left. Some of us have access to water. We haul, sometimes successfully and sometimes spilling along the way. Some of us are too deep in grief to move. We sit and must watch the blaze. Some of us have been pointing at that pile for too damn long, saying, "Why didn't you hear me?" Some of us are frozen in fear or anger. Some of us are tending the wounded, and some of us are wounded. All of us are impacted. How do you practice healing accountability in times like these? You gather in circles just far enough away from the ashes, wherever you all have enough air. But as that pyre cools, you inch closer to it, step by step. We cannot get too comfortable too far away. You have to move in towards it, and you have to leave a trail for others to follow when they're ready. Your trail is as follows. Inch by inch, risk naming out loud, and risk receiving loving witness for what has impacted you. Risk asking for what you need to heal. Take it in as people witness you through their own ash and tear-streamed faces. They will not do it perfectly. You will not do it perfectly. That's okay. Then, inch by inch, take the spiritual fortitude that comes from having received loving witness and turn right around and ask with palm outstretched, "Tell me. Tell me how I impacted you. What is mine in your ache? How can I be part of your healing?" What do you need me to hear? What can we do differently together? You will not do it perfectly, and that is okay. New people will come. They are looking for a people who know how to tend a world that is on fire, not a people who pretend it isn't burning. Let them help you. And then do it over and over and over. 2 years, 2 more years, 2 more years. Again, together. It will not be easy, but perhaps it could be amazing.
Good morning. I am Reverend Kathleen Fowler, and I'm so happy to serve as your Minister of Pastoral Care. So this morning, we hold up the immoral bias of withholding addiction care medication, especially for Black patients in the United States. Despite the continuing rise in opioid overdoses, one of the most effective treatments for addiction is still drastically underprescribed. May racism cease. The Supreme Court recently upheld a California law requiring the humane care of how pigs are housed, allowing them space to move freely. May we learn to value all life. And despite the ongoing trauma of the war inflicted on Ukraine and her people, love continues to shine. Repair Together is a volunteer organization of young, mostly urban youth who come together to clear rubble and rebuild destroyed homes of villagers, many of whom are in their 70s and 80s. In turn, the elders host the volunteers in their temporary shelters and cook them meals as they work. May love's power endure. I start this morning by sharing with you that I wrote this meditation because I've been so inspired by a book of wisdom by Michelle Cassandra Johnson, and her book is We Heal Together, Rituals and Practices for Building Community and Connection. I highly recommend this book. There have been experiences of trauma that so many of us have endured. Whether through pain and sorrow our community has experienced, traumatic results of the pandemic, political turmoil, and all forms of oppression, or a trauma experienced in your own unique way, this degree of pain can destroy parts of ourselves and even unmoor us. It's horribly painful. Fractures, disconnections, and divisions are always painful, and soul-stealing, I would add. Sometimes it isn't even obvious to oneself that this trauma is occurring, or that we deserve it to be otherwise. As Michelle Cassandra Johnson states it, to recover, one has to understand there is something that needs attention. And sometimes it was reminding myself that my grief was real and warranted. We do need to hold space for ourselves when we are hurting, of course. And in our hurting world and our hurting congregation, it calls for so much more. So allow me to pose some questions, and I hope that maybe some of them are uncomfortable because that's where growth is. And I ask these questions of myself as well. What needs your attention? Who needs attention in our community? How do you broaden your circle to take in those who have a different perspective, to hold space for them, to allow them to feel your care? And now a hard one. Who have you judged that deserves your compassion? And finally, what do we need to do in the service for the collective good? Believe me, my friends, that compassion can grow when it is desired and when it is tended carefully. I have faith that this congregation can learn to love better and can learn to listen to each other with openness. What I desire for you, what Hope for Us desires for you, and what our staff desires for you, and what our board desires for you, is that we all can move into spaces of healing. Healing for each and every one of you, and healing for this community. This is healing that moves us out of isolation, healing that allows us to build relationships that remind us of the importance of community. We need each other. This care for ourselves, each other, and for our church can grow and grow and grow, extending outward and upward, creating a new world here while building new relationships. Maybe we can start with gratitude. How about finding someone today to express your gratitude for? And then just watch love happen. So we have no caring cards or announcements submitted this past week. You got to work a little harder on that, folks. And now I welcome Barb Fiorini, our pastoral listener this morning, to read any caring cards or announcements that you submitted since the start of this service and that you put in the little box by the candle table. And as a reminder, any caring cards submitted after 4 p.m. on Saturday will be read the following Sunday. Barb?
Good morning. Feels good to be here today. Nothing came in online this morning, but we had two that came in on the candle table and back. Kristen H. says, I'm starting a new job soon and could use your prayers and your good luck. Gretchen F. writes, as we remember on Memorial Day those who died in all our battles, please also remember those who returned so wounded in spirit that they later died of alcoholism, drug abuse, or other self-destructive action. May all who served know peace. Thank you.
We encourage you to visit the caring table in Beach Hall after the service to sign these cards, whether or not you know the people. This long-time tradition of signing cards in person is an important outreach to members and friends. And may we hold these joys and sorrows and all of those yet unspoken gently in our hearts.
My gratitude to my colleague, the Reverend Randy Partain, who wrote this heart-opening song that I'd like to share with you, inspired by an Indigenous heart-opening song. You'll notice that this song has a lot of repetition with slight variations, and as the words repeat, you can imagine your heart opening just a little bit more and a little bit more to the earth, to the others gathered here, and to your own deepest longings and needs. I'll sing the first couple of verses and then invite you to join in for the last verse.
My heart is open, open wide to the song of the earth. My heart is open, open wide to the song of the earth. My heart is open, open wide to the song of you. My heart is open, open wide to the song of you. My heart is open, open wide to the song of my soul. My heart is open, open wide to the song of my soul, to the pain. My heart is open, open wide to the pain of the earth. My heart is open, open wide to the pain of the earth. My heart is open, open wide
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolfe. I serve as your congregational life staff for the Central East region. It is with sorrow that I'm not with you today. I was really looking forward to it, but I am not feeling well even now. So I will be with you throughout the day. But I chatted with Kelly, and it looks like I will be joining you on June 11th. So I look forward to seeing you then. The world is on fire. I don't know about you all, but I've found the times that we live in to be increasingly difficult and uncertain. And I think that things are as difficult and uncertain as they are because we live in a world that doesn't really do healing accountability well. And what a powerful gift it is to practice that in church, to practice that in community, to literally practice that with people you have chosen. You who have chosen this community, who have said to the folks in this community, I am with you. And let's be clear, you don't necessarily have to like everybody you choose. You don't have to be with them on every little path, every little thing. But that's not the point of choosing the people in your life. I choose my partner, and there are days where I'm like, okay, bud, we're not communicating effectively. But I still choose them to be in my life. We choose the communities that we are a part of, and this is one. And in this community, you have the opportunity to practice what it means to be imperfect, to be uncertain, to be whole and broken, to know that we can learn together a way to healing and to connection, to storytelling, to hope that our world so desperately, desperately needs. Can you imagine if folks were saying, look, we're being killed, the community said, oh no, and let's be witnesses to that story and hold that story rather than getting into our factions and our separate communities. If we started to say, we may not agree with how we are in the world, but that does not mean that I need to criminalize your life. And that practice starts with the person next to you or the person online, the people that we continue to choose day after day. And it's not easy. Adrienne Marie Brown says that in order to create trustworthiness, you have to trust. And by engaging in practices of trust, you start to create trustworthiness in the community that you choose. And that does not mean that you don't hold boundaries or hold people accountable when they are causing harm. It does mean that you trust that there is a way forward in which we all can be whole, heal our own stories, heal our communities, so that we can bring those lessons out and help heal the world. May you know that you are enough to address the days ahead of you, the years ahead of you, and that you're not alone in this. That congregation after congregation has been learning what it means to do this healing accountability work, and that there are so many amazing stories coming out of how that is working and what that means. May you know that you are not alone in this, that we are here with you, and that y'all got this, right? It has been a difficult year, and yet here you are. You have gotten through these difficult times. If you are new to this community, you may not understand the precise details of what I'm saying, but you know that experience of being disconnected in community and wishing that there was a way of communicating and moving forward for that long road of connection, that commitment of choosing one another long into the future and it feeling uncertain and kind of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, if I can quote Doctor Who. It's just, it feels a little messy. We all know that experience. And we all can have the learning that makes it less wibbly wobbly and more concrete and helps carry us on and forward into the future. And share one story from a congregation in Albany, New York. They had had a minister who had engaged in some really inappropriate misconduct, and it had led to other leaders in the congregation engaging in misconduct. And they were having a hard time imagining a way forward. And slowly, they started talking to each other in circles, and they started sharing the story of what was going on without re traumatizing anyone. We don't want to push anyone into paths they're not quite ready for. But slowly over years, it became something where the whole congregation could tell the story of what happened, and every new member who joins the congregation learns that story. But they don't just learn that story, they also learn the amazing work that that congregation is doing, and the beauty and the power and the love. In other words, we need the wholeness of our stories, of our connections, of our healing and our hope. We need it all. We can't just pick and choose which pieces we can carry forward. And in doing that storytelling and that connection with care, with intention, with grace, and hopefully with love, we can find a path forward that helps us say yes to each other, to life, and to a world that so desperately needs our care and our presence. Blessed be, and amen.
In May, our church is sharing our offering plate with Flo, Friends of the Lower Olentangy Watershed. Flo's mission is to keep the Olentangy River and its tributaries clean and safe for all to enjoy through public education, volunteer activities, and coordination with local decision makers. Flo partnered with First UU to build a small rain garden by our memorial garden and a larger one near our church entrance off of Weisheimer. These were some of the first rain gardens in Columbus and a great example of First UU leading the way on environmental issues. Our offering will now be gratefully received. Thank you for your generosity.
Our closing words come from Adrienne Marie Brown. It feels like everything is broken. We must, each of us, fix our attention on the nearest wound. Conjure within us the smallest parts of ourselves that are still whole and be healers. Heal with words and prayer and energy. Heal with money, clean water, time, and actions. Our visions are ropes through the devastation. Look further ahead, like our ancestors did, and further. Extend, hold on, pull, evolve.
And now please rise in body or spirit to join in singing Spirit of Life. You can reach out to your neighbor and hold hands if you feel comfortable. If not, you could also do an elbow or cross your hands if you'd like not.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Now please join me in speaking First You Use vision statement as we extinguish our chalice together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love. All right.
There's going to be, here we go. There's going to be refreshments in Beach Hall between this service and the next meeting with the board. So please help yourself, and we hope to see you back here soon. Thank you, everyone.